Adam, you're free.
Wow. Yeah. That's an understatement, honestly.
Yeah.
It really is. It's scary still, I'm not gonna lie, kind of put all my eggs in one basket there for quite a long time. And the basket got thrown away.
All right. Well, let's take it to the night before you got released. We were here filming with you for some Hollywood opportunities.
Yeah, that was for audition read for Maggie Moore's. I'm still waiting to hear if I got that part or not, hopefully.
And you had all the excitement about the narrative, just seeing it and all the creative juices flowing. And
let me stop you right there about excitement. I had an unbelievable career in wrestling. In the short amount of time that I did it, let's be for real. I never stepped foot into a wrestling ring my entire life. I stepped into a ring July of 2013. September 2015, I debuted on Monday Night Raw the night after SummerSlam in the Barclays Center, Brooklyn, New York, and I had 5 matches under my belt. 12 matches into my wrestling career, I'm wrestling with the late, great Brody Lee in Merida, Mexico versus the Brothers of Destruction. And for the people that don't know wrestling, that's The Undertaker and Kane. In front of, it just did it to me too, in front of 15,000 people in a sold-out arena. And yeah, I mean, from that to winning Money in the Bank, to winning the Greatest Royal Rumble, to winning the Andre the Giant Battle Memorial Royale, to winning the Intercontinental Championship, to winning the Raw Tag Team Championships, to winning the Universal Championship, to do all that in 5 years. One is still trying to soak that in, but being involved and thrown into the deep end in this industry, coming from the outside world, I caught a lot of flack from it for sure, but I fell in love with the art that is professional wrestling, sports entertainment, whatever you want to call it. And I've watched a lot of wrestling, a lot of good wrestling, a lot of bad wrestling, a lot of storytelling, cinematic stuff, you name it, I've watched it. And when you guys release the first narrative, it's one, if not the only time in my entire life, for an hour and a half, I couldn't take my eyes off the screen. There was something to it, the storytelling, the way you guys edited it, everything came together in a really unbelievable work of art. And it opened my eyes to some of the things that are more important in life, I think, and it's seeing you guys having fun, being creative, telling your story, controlling your narrative, as cliche as it is in all of this right now, it really is. And to see and know and be around you guys and the stuff that we've done behind the scenes, and the friendship that's come out of this, watching that and making me realize man, that's so much fun. And don't get me wrong, I had an unbelievable time with WWE and stuff like that, but it was man, this is something cool. This is something different. And how ridiculous was it that we're talking about all this? I'm putting over how awesome I thought what you guys have done was, and joking about the day that I get fired, how this is what I want to do.
Yeah, because we were already saying maybe start filming a documentary that we can release by the time you're released. And then the universe gave us, gave it, we spoke into existence.
I spoke it into existence. Maybe it's my fault. But no, everything happens for a reason. I have no hard feelings at all, man. Everything that WWE allotted me in life, and it was ups and downs and hard times, good times, bad times, fun. I mean, fun, so much fun. I'm so ever indebted to that company and to Vince McMahon and stuff like that, because he gave me a shot at life that I could have never imagined. He gave me an opportunity to meet you guys. I would never have met you guys if I didn't get involved in this business. I would have never been able to travel the world, see the things that I've done, meet the people that I've done, fall in love with people that I met through this business. And it's something special, and I'm so unbelievably humble for the experiences that I was able to experience with WWE. Did it end how I wanted it to? Of course not. And I know what people are always, I've been hearing it a ton. Well, you said you'd never wrestle again when you were done with WWE. Well, I was forced to be done. I said I would never wrestle for another company when I took my boots off for WWE. I never took my boots off. I never had an opportunity to put them back on to come back to work. And I ain't gonna lie, it sent me into a pretty bad place. You guys saw how I was.
Yeah, this was an interesting summer, a pre-production process and going into this. You know, and anybody has watched the Free the Narrative 2, that was pretty much this whole summer you were going through that. And Adam, you just went into this, you really went to the lowest point so you can see who is actually still looking down at you. And you know, that
it's a hard thing, you know, to realize, like, the wrestling business is very cutthroat. There's a lot of fair weather friends that came and went through all this whole process. You know, people that were all praising you, lifting you up when you're on top of the mountain, but when the mountain crumbles beneath your feet, they're standing there kicking dirt on top of you to continue to bury you. So it's one of those hard reality pills that I had to swallow and stuff like that, seeing literally my life's work slip through my fingertips. Because I always said, like, I felt like God put me on this earth to be a WWE superstar. And for a while he did. But in the realization of hitting what my rock bottom was, it realized that I was put on this earth to do more than that. I was put on this earth to inspire people. And what you guys have allotted me to do in the Free the Narrative 2 is to not only fix myself and what was going on with me and my depression and my anger and my rage for things in my life that I couldn't control. You gave me a platform and a place to be able to control me, to be able to tear myself down, to be vulnerable. Like, the narrative was hard for me. A lot of it I don't remember what happened, what was going on, because I was so caught up in the moment. I was so emotionally distraught, and it was such a relieving. It was therapy.
Yeah.
Like, it was.
Oh, we're 100% we're therapists. Yeah.
It was a life-changing thing for me to be able to let it out, to be vulnerable in front of people that I'd never met before in my life, and then being able to, hopefully millions of people are going to see this, to see the man that is behind the monster. Yeah. And, you know,
I mean, there's moments in there where you're laying down, and I mean, we edited it shorter, but it went on for a little while when we were actually filming it, and I'm just seeing you in this moment, and you sat in it and you didn't walk away from it. You stayed brave. You looked it right in the eyes. We're done filming your stuff, and you're outside, and EC3 grabs me and says, "Hey, Adam just gave it all to us." And I go outside, and I'm hugging you. And one of those things where I didn't realize it, because you give a good performance at WrestleMania, who's the first person to hug you in Gorilla? And I'm not saying that I'm a completely different person than Vince, but I'm holding you as the producer, holding you, and you just letting it all in. I wish we could have filmed that, but it was our moment. And it was you, me, Quentin, and Belle, your dog. And it was like I felt like I didn't feel like we were making a wrestling show. I felt like family.
It's 100%. Yes. I mean, that's You guys are. You know, what's the saying? You know, family isn't defined by having the same blood or having the same DNA. It's defined by the love that you share with people, and it's just. From day one, meeting you guys, from the business ventures we've tried to do that have failed, and you know, everything's not successful. I like to think that whatever I touch turns to gold, but that's just me being a narcissist. You know, everybody that's in entertainment has a little bit of it in them. But it was such an experience of just, and even talking with Mike and stuff like that afterwards and watching it back. Same thing with him. We were both so caught up in the moment. We were letting everything out, so much emotion that we didn't even realize what we were saying, what we were doing. We were just in the moment. And it was so cool to be able to capture this, and I was so excited watching the product of what we were able to do. And it's just, I can't express how much everyone worked so unbelievably hard at this. It was a rat race of a production, I mean, with little budget.
Yeah, it was just pretty much like we had 90 days to come up, but like it was 90 days just to come up with it all, and then we spent the whole last month putting it together and stuff, and still trying to keep all our businesses and ventures and appearances strong and stuff. But yeah, everybody threw down on this. Big shout out to Tommy Tanks, who made your theme song. Yeah.
Goosebumps every time I hear it.
And that was an approach of You know, there is the Slipknots out there and the Code Oranges out there, and Code Orange did a really great job with the Fiend's theme song, Bray Wyatt's theme song. And to be able to do that with you, because you didn't have anything to do with the Braun Strowman theme song, right?
Other than the obnoxious scream at the beginning of it.
No. But that's one of those songs still, when I would hear it, especially in arena, I felt like I was at a metal show. Like it was still like, it felt like a weightlifting riff.
Yeah.
So to still have that, but then create something that actually sounds like a Titan walking over the minions of the world. You know what I mean? I picture, when I hear that and I picture you, I picture people this big and you're Godzilla.
Because when I walk through the curtain, be it when I was Braun Strowman or now Adam Scherr, the Titan moving forward, that's how I feel. That's how I felt when I competed in World's Strongest Man. And I'll give you guys a little background on that. A lot of people know, but not everybody that's going to watch this knows about it. I'm the fastest American to ever start strongman competitions and turn professional in it. I started and turned pro in 18 months. I won every competition except maybe 4, I think, as an amateur. 2011, I was North America's Strongest Man. 2012, I won an Arnold Amateur World Championship where I defeated 59 guys from 19 different countries. I turned pro. I represented the United States in USA versus Canada, finished 4th in my first pro show. Traveled to Poland to represent the United States in Giants Live, finished 6th, I believe, at my second pro show. Then was in Los Angeles, what was it? September-ish, I believe, in 2012 as an alternate for World's Strongest Man, and I did all this. This is all in less than 3 years.
Yeah, because that's what when we first met, you always say that. No, it says that Braun Strowman paid his dues, but I paid my dues. Like, you paid him in a different world.
way.
You tore every muscle. You still had all the same injuries.
That's what I mean. A lot of you have never seen me on my days off and stuff like that. I'm constantly in pain, and there was many times, even in my WWE career, I was like a month away from quitting when I was in developmental because I didn't know if I could take it anymore. I had had so many injuries and had literally like life-changing injuries. 2015, January 2015, I ruptured my L5-S1 disc in my back and it cut my sciatic nerve and completely paralyzed my left leg. And I had like a 65% chance of like getting it back, and I got 85% of my leg use back. And that's why I am very, very fucking sensitive when people talk crap about my legs being small. I can't help it. Yeah. You know, that's one of them things that always gets on my nerves, and it's just, I can't help it, and it's a physical disability that I have, and it's a hard one for me to deal with, not only because just the people berating me, belittling me of it, but it's because at one point I had some of the strongest legs on this earth. I squatted over 900 pounds. I deadlifted over 1,000 pounds. So it hurts to hear that and stuff like that. But it's just, it's those things that happen in life. And, I get that saying everything happens for a reason. And I don't know what the reason is for that other than for me to be able to tell this story and show people that you can overcome anything if you're willing to work and put your mind in it and put a little trust in the guy that looks over us upstairs,
Let's talk a little bit about that. Like, you've been talking to us a lot, and I mean on social media, about going more into mental health advocate to start helping people through it. And I think the narrative is a good launching pad for that.
100%.
And I think you found that in there. When you were doing, like, would you compare that to your Make-A-Wishes that you were doing at WWE, or do you take a completely different route? Like, how would you approach that?
I think the Make-A-Wishes are a little different.
Okay.
Those were life-changing, not only for the children that I got to meet and stuff like that, but for me. I'll never forget my first one and stuff like that. And it's just all of them. I mean, I used to get mad at our media teams because they were always sticking a damn camera in my face afterwards. And it's, when you're in there with the kids and stuff like that, you have to be the superhero that they. When you're in there with the kids, you have to be the superhero that you portray on TV because they're leaning on you for strength. I had so many the parents crying, hugging me, telling me thank you and how much it means. One, that I'm taking the time out to meet their children, but they tell me stories of their kids listening to my theme music on their way to the hospital, have brain surgery, holding my, holding my action figures while they're being put under for anesthesia to have surgeries and treatments and chemotherapy and stuff. And you have to swallow those emotions and be strong in front of these kids, because that's what gets them through their lives. And then I would come out, and every time I was an absolute wreck. I would have to walk off and be by myself, because I'm a very emotional person. Like, a lot of people don't know.
When you meet kids out in public, you start crying and stuff. Like I think the one thing that gets you the most is being that superhero for kids. I think that is the biggest.
It is, and that's, in all honesty, that's the one thing that the only thing I'll say that I'm mad about my career ending with WWE. Was that being taken away from the kids. Yeah. The money, yeah, don't get me wrong, it's great. It's given me things in life that I could have never imagined. The fame, I could absolutely 100% do without. Yeah. Other than the fame to those kids. I've always been a sucker. I had a soft spot for children. It's just, that's the future, and they're so precious. They should be so protected. And I felt like I had an opportunity, but not felt like I did. I still have an opportunity to help and inspire and show these kids, like kids that were bullied. I was bullied severely as a child for being a little fat kid and having speech disabilities, reading disabilities and stuff. And, you know, all that stuff is so near and dear to me, and that's really cool. Now, being able to think about these things that have happened in my past and use them to fuel positivity in my life, and to be able to spread that positivity around other people. I'm really, really excited. Like, I'm partnered up with John Paul DeGirio, one of the founders of Paul Mitchell Hair Products and the founder of Patron Spirits. He owns a marketing company called Rocket, and we have an app coming out called Discuss. And it's a mental health app that gives you licensed professionals in the palm of your hand for when you're having a bad day or you're on that edge and you don't have anybody to talk to. You can get on here, you can FaceTime with people, you can call, you can text message and have someone to talk to. And that's what the biggest thing is, that there's such a stigma, I think, around mental health that people don't want to talk about it, especially people that look like me and have the life that I've lived and done the things that I do. I think it means even more being able to open up and talk about stuff like this, because I'm not doing it for me. Like, I don't do this stuff for me. Like, if I was doing stuff for me, it would be selfish and me. I do this to try and help other people, to try and show people what life's really about. And it's such a thing that's turned into my mantra, is just my life, my rules. You get one shot at this. You get one shot at life. And, you know, so many people get caught up in worrying about how much money they make, how many followers they have on their social media platforms, this, and this, when they lose sight of what's really, really important. And that's being a good person. It's not hard to be a good person. It's easier to be a good person than it is to be bad. I feel like when I'm nasty or angry, like, I have to go out of my way to do that. Like, I think in human nature, everyone's nice. That's why we live in communities. That's why we live in cities. That's why we're group people. We're herd animals, I guess, per se, but we're not animals. The difference between us and animals is, like, well, most of us is when someone's having trouble, we help each other instead of eating them. I mean, there's humans that when they see somebody having a bad day, they eat them like in wild. But the cool thing of all this is, man, like, being able to now do some other stuff outside of the company that I was working for, and being able to partake and be a part of so many amazing things, and being able to do the narrative and working on stuff that I never would have been able to do. Not saying never would have been able to do, but at the time in my life, I didn't do it because of being so busy.
Yeah, and I mean, we there was so much of our endeavors together, like being a top guy at WWE, your balls were always tied, you know, type thing, you know, and like you had all this different ideas and energy, but now you're actually, that's why I opened this up, like, Adam, you're free, you know what I mean? And like, that was a big thing about the narrative, is kind of your launch party to your whole new life too, in a way, you know.
It was very unexpected, but you know, I mean, that's how life is. Things happen. Everything happens for a reason. You know, one door closed, and like, it's unbelievable how many more doors have opened, and so many different opportunities. And you know, I turned down a lot of money, like an astronomical amount of money, to do this.
Yes. And thank you on camera. Thank you for that.
Like there's days when I freaking think about it and I'm like, holy
I mean, I was sending you stuff like bet on yourself, bet on yourself, bet on yourself. Like,
no, I know, and that's the thing, like, and that's, yeah, and it is, and it's like, yeah, every 3-letter word corporation out there has made me an offer, talk to me about what I want to do moving forward, and I said, first and foremost, I have something that I want to do. One was this. 2 was just having a chance to breathe and live. Yeah. Like I said, unbelievably blessed for my time with WWE, but it was very, very time consuming. I went, in 5 years, I saw my parents like 8 times. I missed people's funerals. I missed weddings. I missed births. I missed Christmases. I missed Thanksgivings. And the time was amazing, don't get me wrong. But I'm still a human being, and I have needs when it comes for comfort. And I'm very close with my parents. I'm very close with my family and my friends.
Big shout out to the Crusher.
Yeah.
Big shout out to the Crusher.
So it's not only being able to like work with my friends on a project, being able to work on an app, being able to do all the other stuff that I have coming out very soon that I'll be able to talk about more, but just being able to live. And you know, going back to my grassroots, and you know, this was one of the biggest things to come out of me working with you guys on the narrative was remembering who the fuck I was.
I don't think you had the chance as Braun Strowman to ever find.
It wasn't that.
Who is Adam Scherr as Braun Strowman?
No, it wasn't even that.
No.
It's not even that. It's just getting caught up in the bullshit.
Yeah.
Getting caught up in this so-called fame and stardom and everything that goes along with it, and you're doing shit because everybody else is doing it and you feel like you need to fit in. And you know, I'm in an industry where I don't really know what's going on. I don't know the ins and outs of it, so I'm just doing everything to try and belong. And so much of that stuff is not who I am and what made me who I am and got me to where I am. And I lost sight of stuff that really, really mattered in life. And it made me sick to my stomach. I took out frustrations on people that cared about me, my family, my loved ones, my friends. And it was all because I was angry at myself and caught up in BS thinking that I needed to be somebody else or live this facade life and look at me and look at this and I have this and I got that and I did this. And when you come and realize that at the end of the day, all that's bullshit.
Yes.
None of it fucking matters.
Nothing matters.
It doesn't, because at the end of the day, we're all going to leave this earth, and it doesn't matter what you've acquired in your lifetime, monetary, materially, or whatever. It's about experiences and what you've done and how you've influenced other people. In my opinion, that's how I feel. And you know, at the end of the day, like I started turning into a literal monster, not because WWE made me a monster, because society made me a monster, because every second of my life still I'm under a magnifying glass. Everywhere I go, I have to be on. Everything I type has to be proofread 500 times. Every time I think about opening my mouth, I have to think 5 times about it because everyone is looking for a reason to set you on fire. Mm-hmm. They would rather watch you crash and burn to the earth than soar with the eagles. And it's just, that's one of the biggest things that I got out of this, and losing my job and, you know, and things that happened was just, it was a slap in the face that I needed as a person, as a human being. I needed this slap in the face to wake up and realize that I wasn't living life how I wanted to be. I wasn't living life how I was supposed to be. Because at the end of the day, my only agenda in life from here out is to leave the world a little bit better. Be it helping someone in need because they're having a bad day, stopping on the side of the road and, you know, helping somebody change a tire, you know, seeing somebody short for cash when they're trying to pay for their dinner or groceries, helping out. That's the things that really, really mattered. It's such a cliche thing, but it's in like Avengers, like it hits home with me, Thanos, when he says, I hope they remember you. And I want people to remember me as a good person. I want people to remember that Adam Scherr, the guy who played Braun Strowman, the guy who did this, the guy who did that, deep down inside, he never changed from his roots. He's always been the humble little fat kid from Sherrills Ford, North Carolina that grew up into something I don't even know what it is yet.
That's the beauty, is we're all still young.
I guess.
I mean,
I'm too young to feel this old.
There's a good part of the amount of the narrative. We're all the same age, all of us. You know what I mean? Like, I would have to say 60% of the narrative. And if you watch a lot of what's on TV and being pushed in all the three-letter brands, everybody's between 38 and 42. You know what I mean? There was something in the water for Hulk Hogan and Macho Man and stuff, and it created a bunch of us. You know what I mean? Created a bunch of little monsters. The one thing I do want to ask you too. We go into, on your way into if you haven't seen it, he does go by the Amway, and we have a little bit of self-reflection. I would like to, at what point, especially in the last 2 years in WWE, even as champion, at what point did you're like, I can't do this anymore? You started, you actually came a conscious to yourself.
When
you looked in the mirror, what point did you know?
When I started hating myself and realizing that I wasn't happy.
You're the most unhappiest champion, you know what I mean?
Yeah, well, it was just, and it all, a lot of it boils down to just what I mentioned earlier about having to be on all the time, and the criticism from the fucking fans. And it's not even the fans. The fans aren't the ones. It's the dorks on the internet that opinion and couch cushion book shows and do all this stuff and just nonstop talking shit about what we're trying to do. I didn't see any of you guys getting cast and thrown into the deep end of the pool, in the middle of a pandemic when the whole world's in a frenzy, not knowing what's going on. I jumped on a jet and flew back. I had no idea that they were putting me over to beat Goldberg. I came back because people need an outlet. People need a way to check out from reality. And by me going to work and me being selfless and putting my health, my risk on the line, not knowing what's going on, I knew in the back of my mind that, yeah, I'm not going to make everybody happy. You can't make everybody happy. But there are people that's sitting at home, they're scared, they don't know what's going on in the world. And if I could take them out of that reality for 3 minutes while I'm out there wrestling, then I did my job, because at the end of the day, that's what it's about. People watch wrestling to get caught up in it and forget about the bullshit that's going on in their lives. And having to listen and hear and read all this crap about this sucks and this blah, blah, blah. I would love to see any of you get handed a fucking 1,500 word script on a piece of paper, get 15 minutes to 30 minutes to try and memorize it, then go out and do it on live television in front of no one. You can hear your heartbeat standing out there, and it was just, that's when it just got to the point where, man, I don't know, and I know that's part of what comes along with all this stuff, but just the nonstop negativity that there is in the wrestling community.
It's toxic.
It's so toxic,
yeah.
And it made me hate. It made me hate going to work and hate this stuff. And I know I shouldn't read this stuff. I know I shouldn't care, but I do. Because I care about my work. I care about how I'm projected. I want to be the best at everything I do. And it's a fault at times. But it's the fact of listening to these guys bury and just crap all over the match, the cinematic match that I had with Bray Wyatt. Say it's the worst match of the year, the worst thing they've ever seen, this, and this. If anybody, you people don't have a clue what went into doing that. I worked for 28 hours straight trying to get this out to our fans, get a product out, to get people to take their mind off of what's going on in the world. I went to work the next day after filming it, wrestled on television. I got home that night at 12 o'clock at night and was taking a shower and collapsed in my house. I had to have an ambulance come and get me from my house because I collapsed from dehydration. I went into full body cramps. They double plumbed me on the way to the emergency room. I took 4 liters of fluid to get myself to stop cramping. And to have to sit there and listen to people just criticize and naysay, and it's just, it made me hate everything. Not only hate having to go to work, it made me hate people in my life that cared about me. It made me hate myself. It sent me into this really, really bad place, and the only way I could ever get away from it was in the gym. That's one of the reasons why I've worked so hard in the last year and a half on training, because it's one of the only things that I could control. So many things were out of my grasp, out of my fingertips. Gym is the only place I've ever truly found solace to being able to do what I needed to do, all the way back to the 13-year-old pudgy kid at Scherr's Ford, North Carolina, that went to Iron Physique in Denver, North Carolina, and met a guy named Mike Keever and asked him if he could help me and show me the way. I didn't know how to lift weights. I didn't know how to eat. And because I was sick of being bullied. I was sick of getting picked on for being fat. And I figured that if I could get in shape and get muscles and stuff like that, that would be one way. And even then I was like, I'll get muscles and I'll just beat up these guys. And now as an adult realizing that's not how it works. And it never did work that way. I got into shape and then it just escalated and it turned into more and more and more. And the more I trained, the more things happened in my life. The more I trained, the bigger I got, stronger I got, more opportunities I got. And you know, without the gym, I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't have met you guys. I wouldn't have won countless titles and championships in Strongman. I wouldn't have been a WWE superstar. The gym and the iron and the steel that's in it is the only thing in my life that's really never lied to me. It'll let you know when you're having a good day because it'll let you pick it up. It'll tell you when you're having a bad day because it won't.
I know I need to go. One last question. If you could fight anybody in the narrative, who would it be?
You know, I don't know if it's really one person. I think it's anyone. I think it's anyone that has something inside of them that they need to get out. Anybody that needs to be set free. These things have always been good at setting things free.
The Titans' weapons. And then who would you like to see knock on the door?
There's only one man on this earth right now that I want to see knocking that door. He's family. He showed me things in life that I never could have imagined seeing. He bestowed the gift upon me of being the godfather to his son. Wyndham, I'm waiting for you, brother.